Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the book Yoga Essays for Self Improvement from Swami Jyotirmayananji. I'm narrating it, Swami Nikhilananda, and today we are going to discuss a profound topic, how to remove anxiety. As we know, in this stressful, busy, fast paced world, anxiety is a common occurrence among many. Anxiety is a disease of the mind. It is like a worm that eats into the vitals of one's personality. Suppose a person were to slap his own face with the right hand and then soothe his face with the left. So it is with anxiety. On one side, the mind develops an expectation, a desire for something to happen, but then on the other side, it contradicts and opposes itself and develops a sense of fear and insecurity. In this way, anxiety creates tremendous sense of turmoil with the person who suffers from it. When will is weak and insight poor, the whole mind gradually becomes cloudy. It becomes perplexed and begins to feel steeped in sadness and grief. Anxiety, worry, and grief go together. In order to remove anxiety, you must free yourself or of exaggerated wants in life. Realize that if there are many things you want and need, you will be subject to many-fold anxieties. In other words, keep your life simple, stress free. But if your needs are few, mind becomes free of anxiety. Realize too that most needs in human beings, in human life, are exaggerated. That is, you really don't need them. We have just gotten used to the system, or we want to fit in into the culture, etc. Things that are actually necessary for a healthy and happy life are really very few and counted. Personalities that have developed in a complex culture exaggerate their needs. They need to wear big brass bracelets and earrings, rings on all five fingers, each having an ounce of some precious stone, etc. If you have exaggerated your needs, you are then encashed in anxiety. Many people actually go into debt. They can't afford it, but just to show to the other person, they do it, and then they face anxiety and stress. You cannot live in peace. Therefore, keep your mind geared to the principle of simplicity, for it is through simple living and high thinking that you turn away from the exaggerated sense of want and anxiety. In order to do away with this threat anxiety presents before your personality, you must first need to gain an insight into the workings of the unconscious, how the habit of anxiety is gradually developed. If this anxiety becomes intense, it is very difficult to dispense with, and it becomes part of your own nature. Anxiety saps all your vitality, and therefore, the mind that could have been used to explore greater things in life is now using all its energy in vain anxiety. Furthermore, anxiety does not make things better, it makes them worse. For example, suppose you are in a train and over anxious to reach your destination. No matter how anxious you are, the train will only take you there in its own course. Therefore, your anxiety does not hasten matters but only puts you in a disbalanced and tense state. In yoga, you learn the art of surrendering to the divine self, allowing the mind to become free of all egoistic problems. It is just for a short time, and it's a wonderful skill that must be keenly promoted by an aspirant. Keep the mind vacant, empty as it were. It is this idea that led the Buddhistic school to meditate on the void. But the void is not an essenceless thing as it sounds. Letting your mind face nothing but zero for a moment is quite a task, because the mind will continue to think. Each time you try to relax your mind, you find that it has secretly clung to some little problem or nagging thought. It is much like a child who has been asked to go to bed but has secretly stolen a lollipop, stealthily putting it under his blanket and enthusiastically eating away, all the while his mother thinks he is sleeping. Everyone thinks he is sleeping, however, he is busy with his lollipop. So, too, when you ask yourself to keep the mind quiet, you will then suddenly realize that the mind has secretly clung to some little problem or some nagging thought and it continues to harp on it. Whether you succeed at first or not, the effort towards success must be maintained day by day. When you are able to free your mind of its petty preoccupations and touch upon the deeper self, the universal self, cosmic self, consider that as an act of surrender. Resign. During that time, you develop immense will and a new vision to face your problems. You gain energy. Your mind will then not develop the habit of anxiety. Rather, you will recall great teachings such as those of Jesus, which says, take therefore no thought for the morrow, for tomorrow shall take thought for the things of itself. And consider, Jesus said, the lilies of the field, how they grow, they toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon, in all his glory, was not arrayed like one of these. In other words, everything is provided for in the divine plan. We must have that faith also. The worrying habit has developed due to ignorance, and if you observe nature, you will realize that it is peculiar only to man, the most evolved animal. Other animals don't stress so much, they just relax. We humans are complicated. It does not belong to others. Animals do not sit down and worry. Human beings have developed this worrying habit, that habit which shuts out the possibility of a human being becoming divine. There is a parable about a great and powerful king in the 17th century, Shivaji. At the time, the Mohammedans were hostile to the Hindu religion. Fighting the Mohammedans, Shivaji preserved the Hindu race and religion from their barbaric attacks and onslaughts. At the outset of his rule, Shivaji began to worry, so much so that he became emaciated and sickly. One day, his guru, a great saint, asked what was the matter. As a fighter and a warrior, you were so relaxed, but now, since you have become king, you are so worried. The king explained that his subjects were suffering and did not have all the requirements of life. As an ideal king, it was his duty to help them, but this subjected him to immense worry which was consuming him. One day, his guru took him to a mountainside and asked him to break a little rock. He did so, and a frog emerged out of it. The guru asked him if he had taken care of that frog or if he knew anyone else who had cared for it, hidden as it was inside that rock. Who maintains that order? Who presents its food and looks after the realities for that frog? Don't you think that majestic being is looking after the realities and problems of your subjects also? Why do you carry all the burden and problems on your own head? Don't you realize there is a divine plan behind things? The king understood the message and his stress was relieved. Although you need to do your duty, you should not allow your mind to become filled with worry and anxiety. If you do, you will not be able to perform your duties well. There must be an overpowering understanding that the world is not your project but a divine project, and you need only to perform your role with the utmost sincerity that you command. The rest must be left in the hands of God. Mind must be free. When a swan wants to fly, it simply flutters its wings, throwing off every drop of water, and then soars high. So, too, Although you are swimming in the lake of the world, you must have the ability to flutter your wings, throw off all worldly problems and cares, and then fly beyond the world. If you do that just once a day, you will enjoy it immensely, for you are not just swimming but soaring beyond the lake of the world process. An illustration is given of an ideal devotee. Once in the heavenly world, the gods began to gossip about the mortal world. The subject of their gossip was the question, who was the best devotee? They talked of many devotees they knew, but Brahma, the creator, said that there was a farmer who, though not so well known, was the best devotee of the Lord. Narada became upset, saying the farmer could not be the best devotee, for he had never seen him perform any religious practice. Because Brahma's words could not be false, Narada went after the farmer like a detective to determine just how he was the best devotee. So Narada pursued him from morning till night and saw that the whole day he had nothing but talk to his oxen, plough his field, and tend to his many duties. However, every night he did one thing more just before going to sleep. He gave a big sigh of relief, saying, Hey Ram, meaning, Oh God, and went into a deep sleep. And it was because of this he was recognized as the best devotee. In a moment, he was able to throw off all his worries and cares. People find this hard to do, even with all their mantra repetition and all their meditation. The message is not to stop repeating your mantra or start sighing like the farmer. The farmer's personality was so integrated that he was deeply absorbed in his duty. Then, at the end of the day, he was able to throw off all his mental cares and stress. If you can do that within a moment, you can face the eternal principle in your personality, the divine self. So, with this, we conclude the satsang for today, and we will continue this beautiful journey on how to control your anxiety, how to remove it in tomorrow's satsanga. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.